Right then, Tyson Fury defeated Arslanbek Makhmudov via unanimous decision, winning basically every single round in that fight. Let's be honest though, it was boring. It was very, very, very boring to watch. I think that's very safe to say. Fury got 12 rounds in. Makhmudov, blasted, rushing over in that first round, and then didn't really have anything to offer for the rest of the fight. Just came forward in a straight line in that first round. Got some decent shots in. Made it messy in that first round, but then, yeah, Furious took over, schooled him really. Makhmudov couldn't do anything, and that was it. It was just the same thing for the whole 12 rounds. Um, yeah, it was boring. It was a very disengaging fight. I was engaged in the fight for like the first 6 rounds. Then let's be real, round 7 onwards, boring. Second half of the fight was just a painful watch, really. If I'm being completely honest, it was a real painful watch. I think after the first 5, I had it 3-2 to Fury, and then from there, that was it. Like, I mean, even though I had it 3-2, it's still clear Fury was in cruise control anyway, though. Let's be honest, it wasn't like, oh, what's going to happen next? Now this could be close. No, Fury was always in cruise control in that fight and was never going to lose that fight. It was simple, a simple style for Fury to deal with, and yeah, just box rings round him, used the jab, the uppercut. Makhmudov just walked onto it. Didn't really learn from any thing there, and no adjustments were really made for Makhmudov. But for Fury, I feel like it was good for him to get those 12 rounds in, but it stunk out the stadium. It absolutely stunk out the stadium, that fight. Um, yeah, I think with Makhmudov, he was coming forward again in that straight line, but he'd smother his work way too often. Didn't follow up on his attacks at all. Smothered his work, just land on Fury on the ropes. He'd land a massive right hand, lean on Fury on the ropes, and then they get separated. Then Fury would be back behind the jab on his bite, just picking Makhmudov apart. Simply easy. For Fury, the way he was just able to pick Makhmudov apart with that jab, head and body. But yeah, I expect, to be fair, talk about body work. I actually did expect more use of the backhand to the body from Fury. We didn't see that at all. Much, to be fair, from Fury. We didn't see much of the backhand to the body from him at all there. But it was just a dominant performance from the jab and the uppercut coming in as every time Makhmudov stepped in. It took Fury a bit of time to fully, get the timing of his uppercut going. But Makhmudov was knackered after the first 2. Absolutely knackered. Like, just done. But he was able to, stand his ground in centering and was just taking big shots. Really, it was just a punishment from Tyson Fury that he was dishing out on Arslanbek Makhmudov there, an absolute punishment. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty painful watch. It was a painful and dull watch, that fight was. It really was. You know, you don't look at that and think, oh yeah, he's gonna knock out AJ when they fight. No one looks at that and thinks that, I mean, I guess there was always a bit of like, I don't want to say unpredictability, but it's just of how Fury would look in that fight. And you don't look at that and think, oh yeah, he'd blast AJ out of there. You don't look at that and think, oh yeah, he'd absolutely school Dubois. You don't look at it and think, oh yeah, he'd absolutely school Caballero. He'd absolutely school Wardley. You don't look at that fight and think anything about that whatsoever. Um, but, Makhmudov would keep, pressing forward, but he'd keep walking onto shots. He would keep throwing back. It's not a fight which should have been stopped. It wasn't like the Chisora fight. Well, yeah, it had to get, but it was a painful watch. There wasn't loads going on. It just seemed to be the same thing every single round. And it was just a pace and a fight that Fury was just very comfortable fighting at. And yeah, could he have pushed the pace a bit? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, you would have liked to see the pace be a bit higher from Fury, I guess. But again, um, I do wonder what Fury thought Makhmudov's power when Makhmudov did catch him. I don't know if he was making him think here and there. But Makhmudov was very messy, though. He was very messy. He did love the clinch, and he did love pushing Tyson Fury up against the ropes to make it as messy and a bit dirty as possible, really. So I thought, so it might have just been a case of Fury just simply wanting to stick to clean boxing. I think there was a point in the ninth or 10th round where Makhmudov was just leaning on Fury, landed shot, trying to smother his work. Fury's there screaming at him, let's box, let's box. And um, I think Fury just wanted to try and keep it as clean as possible, really, and didn't really want to engage in a messy fight. Not because it's a fight that he would have lost. He was always going to win that fight if it was messy or not, because he was landing the much cleaner shots anyway. But I just don't really think he wanted any part of making it messy because again, that would have just made it even more boring than what it was, and Fury gains nothing out of winning a messy fight. But with that, I guess he does gain those rounds. He does gain, even more experience and less rust. Experience, just less ring rust really, and getting rid of the cobwebs by constantly setting traps for Arsenal and Makhmudov. That, in my opinion, is what happened there. But yeah, yeah, you don't go away from that fight thinking much at all, though. Really, like you don't think anything, and I still feel like it's hard to say how is Fury gonna do against certain guys? Like, what does he do against AJ? What does he do against Wardley or Dubois? Like, what would he do against these guys? You don't really know. But I guess it was just a fight to get back into it. He was out for 16 months. I guess it was smart to get rounds in. Could he have gone him out to death if he wanted to? I don't know. But it was a punishment. It was just a boxing lesson, really. And it was never a fight that Tyson Fury was going to lose. But that's why it was set up. That wasn't set up for him to lose. It was set up so he'd win, come back, and then hopefully there's a big fight for him next. I think the AJ fight's a separate thing to talk about. Personally, I'd rather see him fight the winner of Wardley and Dubois next, though. AJ's got a lot going on himself, though. That's the thing. But yeah, that's that. There's not really loads to say. BOREFEST, really.